and we'll hop to a couple questions. We went a little bit over on the podcast, so we'll probably have to cut some of these questions a little bit short, but we'll get to them. We'll get to a few. There's holy cow, there's a lot. Looks like we had a raid where Robert Hartley, he's a content creator. He's on YouTube, came with a couple hundred people and joined our stream. So thank you for the raid. There are some comments as well. Mr. Salvatore's books were some of the first I encountered and fell in love with when I started reading fantasy outside of the earlier writers such as Tolkien's. I think that one's already been answered in the course of our commentary. Oh, somebody asked what your World of Warcraft's main class was. We talked about that already.
Yeah. My favorite character right now is the Fury Warrior. I'm just having a blast. Except great. I die. The problem with the warrior is if you get in trouble, you got no outs. You die. Unlike a warlock, where you just
do people know people that are playing with you in World of Warcraft? Do they know it's you?
Sometimes. I have some fun stories about that. I did a pickup group once.
Yeah.
And the lead in the pickup group was named after a character in one of my books, but a minor character.
Okay.
So someone that really knew the books. And she, I think it was a woman. It was a woman actually. She private messaged me and she gets it because I was playing Bruner with 2 R's on the end.
Okay.
And my paladin, she private messaged me and she said, Salvatore for the win. And I said, who? And she said, R.A. Salvatore, your character's named after that, right? And I said, no. So, oh, you got to read this book. I said, this is really R.A. Salvatore. I was just kidding you. I told her. And she didn't believe me. So she told a couple of the other people in the group, and they started asking me questions like about my books. They were like, because they thought I was faking it, you know?
Right.
And she asked me if I had ever played in this Mud, right? Remember the old Mud games?
Yeah, definitely.
And the only one I had ever played was Zork. I didn't know anything about them. I didn't play in any of them. And I said, no, I've never been in that. And they kicked me out of the group for impersonating myself. So like a couple of years later up on Facebook, I put a post up and I told that story and she got in touch with me on a PM and she's like, I'm so sorry.
That's hilarious.
Awesome. It was awesome. And I'm like, no, that was cool. It's a story I can tell everybody now. So yeah,
that's great. This is a question, and I don't know if you do you watch Stranger Things?
Yeah, I haven't watched the new season. I love the first season. And I've watched 2 and 3 as well. I like them less. First season really hit me with the whole 80s shtick they had going on.
Well, this question asks, how do you feel about shows like Stranger Things changing the lore for D&D? Do you view this as a good thing to get people involved in the lore, or a bad thing for the original lore overall? I think that's a great question.
It's a wonderful thing. D&D's lore is meant to be individualized by whoever's sitting around the gaming table, right? Yeah, I mean, I play D&D in my Demon Wars world. I'm not using Forgotten Realms lore, or sometimes I am. Yeah. Or sometimes I'm mixing the two, or I'm changing it. I think it's awesome that you can be a D&D player or a Magic player or a whatever game player now and not feel like you have to hide somewhere and don't tell anyone you're playing it.
Yeah.
And, you know, shows like Freaks and Geeks, I think, was one of the ones that really brought it forward. Freaks and Geeks community, right? But now Stranger Things, this kind of stuff is the gaming community is enormous, right? And it just tells people be yourself. So I don't really get hung up on things like that because the lore, for crying out loud, the lore in my books is different as you go through the books because they keep changing the game around it.
Right.
The Drow had infravision when I started writing. They don't now. They have low light vision or dark vision, or it's just different.
Did you have to explain that change, or do you just go with it and not even?
I just go with it because I'm not going to go back and retrofit 37 books or whatever.
Right.
I just kind of go with it, and you know that's why I try to be vague on spell casting. I try to be vague on just trying talk about what happens when they cast the spell as opposed to naming spells and things. Sometimes I do, but I try to be a little careful and a little ambiguous about the time frame in the books and the years because they change the timeline all the time.
Right.
They change the maps. The new edition of the game is out. We're 100 years ahead.
Right.
Great. So I don't really get hung up on things like that with any of the IPs I love because I understand that when it's going for so long, it's not the same people. Many of people that started the realms aren't even with us anymore.
Yeah.
Started D&D aren't even with us anymore. And many of the people that worked at TSR, a lot of them went up to Wizards, but that was 20 something years ago. And a lot of them have moved on to other things, started their own game companies, right?
Right.
Or gone and worked for computer game companies, or just retired from the business, or gone on. So every time you have new people coming in, they're going to want to put their mark on it. Things are going to change a little bit. Roll with it. And always remember, around your table, you make the rules, you make the lore. If someone says you can't do that, you're canon, and it's your table, you say, hey, a bolt from blue just killed your character. Look at that.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? That's the way D&D is set up. They're guidelines.
Do you have a lot of contact with some of the other pillars of D&D, people like Ed Greenwood and Richard Byers? And I mean, you mentioned Aaron Evans.
I just saw
earlier.
Richard. I hadn't seen him in years. I saw him at Gen Con. It was so nice seeing him again. Sure. I mean, I talk to Ed every now and then. He'll give me a call, or I'll give him a call just to say hi and keep up. He hasn't been out much lately for the last couple of years for personal reasons.
Yeah. We've had him on the show a couple times.
I saw Jim Lauder when I was out there. I had dinner with Aaron Evans when I was out there. I call my old Evan, Mary Kirchhoff, who hasn't been involved in many years. And I'm on the phone every week, on a Zoom call every week with Paul Morrissey and some other creative people doing some stuff with the game. I'm going to drop in at Wizards, and when I go out to ECCC, I'll drop in at Wizards for a day after the convention, and maybe get to meet Jeremy Jarvis in person. I've only met him on Zoom, and see Chris Perkins and some other people up there. Yeah, I keep up with these folks.
Awesome.
Why wouldn't I? Oh, and I had dinner. I got to have dinner Saturday night with Tracy Hickman and his wife Laura. Diane and I had dinner with them on Saturday night. And Tracy's my brother from another mother. We Tracy and I wish the whole world could watch Tracy and Bob talking about politics, for example, because Tracy's way more conservative than I am. He's a Mormon. He's conservative. I'm a Massachusetts moderate liberal, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like the labels, but he's more to the right than I am. And we would disagree about a lot of things, but we'd all want to get to the same point. We would have the best political discussions, and nobody would leave that table with anything but hoping they had learned something.
Yeah,
nothing
that's
but
great.
Respect for each other.
I wish the world did that. I wish the entire world would do that.
I really do. And I got to see Margaret Weiss over their booth. I went over there and got a hug from Margaret. Gen Con wouldn't be any fun without a fist bump or a hug from Margaret.
Yeah.
I keep up with these people. Why wouldn't I? It's a small community.
Right.
When I go out to ECCC, I'm going down to see Terry and Judy and Brooks. Terry's my favorite. He's my best friend in the business, I think.
Okay.
Small business.
Great. Yeah. You need to, me as a host of a show, I never really know who knows who's friends with who's not friends with who. So I always got to ask. It's like, who do you get along with? Do you chat with them? Do you interact? So it's really cool that the culture amongst all of you is so open and accepting and friendly. And
I mean,
it's not like a lot of other businesses.
I had an incredible experience. Where the heck was it? Was it San Diego? It was a couple of years ago at a con, right before COVID. And Mike Cole was doing a panel. And I was told he wanted to meet me because he was a big fan growing up with my work. And Mike's in his 40s. And so I went in there, and on the panel, Delilah Dawson, Kevin Hearn, Jim Butcher, Pat Rothfuss was there. Pat's awesome.
Yeah.
Love the man. And Mike was amazed because he couldn't believe I was that much older than him, because I'm a lot older than these folks.
Right.
So they kind of grew up reading my books.
Yeah.
And he pulled them all over. He goes, did you guys grow up reading Bob's books? They're all like, yeah. And I'm feeling like, wow, I'm the old man now. But this is really cool because I love these people. Their work, right?
Yeah.
And Mike goes, and everyone goes, wait a minute, how old are you? So I felt really good.
You're like me. You're not. You don't age. You're not going to age. We'll be young forever.
I still play softball.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I still play softball against college kids.
Wow, that's
impressive.
I
can't outrun them, but I can hit them in the back of the head with a ball. Really. Go ahead, take that extra base. You may get there alive.
Wow. Our next question here is, they are asking, I'm gonna rephrase this. I'm gonna rework this question a little bit. Which of
Take
your
the
books do
swears
you?
out. Is it
Which of
about
these
Chewie?
books do you own the rights for, and what books are owned technically by other entities?
Does he list the books, or does he want to list?
He doesn't. Just I think it's just general. Like I'm guessing that he's probably
I
talking
own the
about the
rights
Drift books,
to.
but
I own the rights to everything I've done that isn't Star Wars, Tarzan, or D&D.
okay,
Star Wars, I own nothing. I
right,
mean, that's completely work for hire. And my contract with Wizards is complicated and NDA and
yeah,
can't get into it. The only
yeah,
thing I tell you about my work with Wizards of the Coast is there's a mutual affection there, and we do things that are mutually beneficial, and we work together beautifully, so we don't worry about stuff like that.
awesome, awesome
But
answer.
I own like Demon Wars, I own Spearwielders Tales, Crimson Shadow books, the NSIL, the Echoes of the Fourth Magic, those books. Um, you know, so there's like, there's 3 trilogies, and Demon Wars is what, 11, 14 books and counting. So there's 23 books I own. Um, yeah, yeah.
There's some comments. Give us more Camuriel and Valis.
Oh, Camuriel's all over the place in the new books.
Great.
Camuriel, this series is Camuriel, Jarlaxle, and Trary are all stepping front and center.
I will never say more to Jarak. I will never say no to more Jaraxel and Entrari.
Yeah.
That's so. Me being younger, everybody was like, "You need to read these books," and I read your original books, and I liked them, and they were a lot of fun. And then eventually I got to the Cell Sword series, and I was like, and that was the series that really got me into your work. As I was like, I really identified with those two characters. So then I had to go back and catch back up to the entire series and all the way up till now because they're in so many of them.
Yeah, in
Uh,
Trary, I really thought Road of the Patriarch was in Trary's swan song because
yeah,
I thought that was the perfect redemption for him. I mean, who
yeah,
else but Artemis and Trary could redeem himself by telling a priest, rebuild your temple, but if you do the same thing instead of what you pretend you're supposed to be about, I'm going to come back here and burn it down again, and this time you're going to be in it. And that's
yeah,
redemption for Artemis and
yeah,
Trary. But after I wrote that, I got so many letters from people saying, you really can't end it here with him because I had this in my childhood. And they got very personal and opened up to me. And they said, I need to see him surviving and redeemed and happy. I
yeah,
need to see Artemis and Trary looking in a mirror where he doesn't hate what he sees.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
I kept him around, and I was glad I did because I just adore the character. And Jarlaxle's Jarlaxle. He's not going
yeah. Right. I mean, who can't enjoy that character?
there.
A
Boy, I
little
have
curious
fun
to
with him.
see some of your sci-fi work.
What sci-fi work?
I think that's what they're saying. They want to see you do some sci-fi work.
Science fiction now is so much in the hands of people who are astrophysicists or quantum physicists or mathematicians. It is so far above what I remember from those early college classes in the 1970s.
Right.
I mean, don't forget, when I was in college, I studied basic COBOL and Fortran. The world is so passed me by on that front that I would feel like the biggest imposter ever if I wrote it. I would write I could do space opera or science fiction fantasy, if you
Yeah.
will. That's what I consider Star Wars. I consider Star Wars the hero's journey more than the science fiction. But guys like Greg Bear and those guys, they know their stuff.
Right.
And I think now in science fiction, you really got to know that stuff.
For sure.
Otherwise, it's just not going to fly. You know.
Did you ever read A Night in Lonesome October by Zlanzi? It's one of
No,
the
I have
written
not.
questions.
I don't know that one.
Looks like somebody is suggesting
Sounds like I should.
that. Sounds like it. We
I
got some
love
comments on
Zelazny.
people.
Zelazny was. I haven't read them in a long, long time, but it still stays with me.
Nice. Got some more comments on EverQuest and other video game comments. A lot of video game comments.
Yeah, video games are hot.
Some Pirates of the Caribbean's for pirate stuff. Any thoughts on the Spelljammer release?
Not really. I've never really gone into Spelljammer with any depth. I mean, I was kind of in the realms and so kind of
Right.
absorbed there. I'm sure they'll do it well. It seems like everything they're doing pretty well now. That makes me happy. But I don't really. I'll take a look at it, but I'm very grounded in fantasy. in classic fantasy.
Yeah. Are there any other authors you'd like to work with, collaborate with?
After I
I'm guessing
did,
D&D, but otherwise too would be.
no, after Terry Brooks did the Phantom Menace, and then I did the Attack of the Clones, we knocked around the idea of doing the third movie novelization together. But they gave it to Matt Stover, which was fabulous because Matt is an amazing writer, and he
Love
really
Matt.
knocked it out of the park
Right.
on that one. That's like my favorite novelization of all the ones they've ever done. I would probably work with Terry because I think we bring different things to the books. I'd work with Erica again because that just went beautifully. I mean, and I'd work with my kids again, but I don't really feel the need or the urge to work with other writers because I'm really protective,
right,
of like my characters and things. And I'm pretty pig-headed and about it, you know.
I totally understand. All right, let's see here. We got one last. Pat thinks he has ADHD. I hope all writers have. I don't know what that is. Lonesome October is wonderful. We got a couple of people saying Lonesome October is wonderful.
What is it?
The Lonesome October by Zlanzi.
Oh yeah,
somebody
yeah.
asked about earlier. We got a bunch of people now are chiming in and saying that that's an excellent option.
I'm finding that I'm kind of burning out on binging TV shows. Although I found a couple of gems. 1883, I think, was just wonderful.
Okay.
Absolutely brilliant. And I'm watching For All Mankind right now, and it's like I grew up with Apollo, so this is really kind of a kick.
Yeah.
You know, I'm liking it a lot so far. I'm only in the first season.
You'll get there. You'll get there.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be done in a couple of weeks. Well, after I get done all these conventions, interrupting my television time. Damn it.
Right. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, and then I'll come back. Then I'll come back and I'll have to get everybody ready for the release of Wrath of the Lich King, right? In WoW Classic.
Right. Right.
So I'm gonna have to keep running those stupid dailies and build some money up so I can buy stuff.
All right. Last question. What is your favorite class in EverQuest?
Monk. Marcalo Dianero, my bad guy from Demon Wars, is my monk in EverQuest.
Is it?
And I love playing a monk. I like the wizard too. I played Camariel as a wizard, Camariel Oblodra as a wizard in EverQuest, and that was pretty cool. But no, that monk is it, man.
That's awesome.
And what I really liked about it is because they were so dependent on the weight you were carrying.
Yeah.
You really had to plot out what you were going to get for equipment from the beginning. So it's like, hanging out in Oasis and waiting for Lockjaw to spawn, right? Because you got to get that Lockjaw vest. And then you go into Soleil and you get the Foreman's tunic. And you kind of because see, I play solo or in a very, very small groups. Like my wife might play, she never played EverQuest, but she'll play WoW with me. But I play solo mostly. So I don't raid. And it always drives me crazy when they've got your epic item and you can achieve your epic. All you need is 80 friends that'll raid with you. And you can get your epic and it'll be your achievement. No, please give me something where I can go and just keep getting my things, my ultimate things by myself, even if it takes me years longer without 80 friends helping me.
Yeah. Somebody just mentioned feign death pulls for the win.
Absolutely. I was really good at it too. As a matter of fact, once we were fighting the bandits in, where was it? It was outside of Kino. So
South Row? Was it
South Row? You know the bandits by the farmhouses?
Yeah.
And some guy started messing with my nephew who was sitting with me. We were meeting up. You had to kill a few things and wait 20 minutes before you could fight again.
Yeah.
EverQuest. I loved it. Yeah, and some guys were really being jerks. They were kill stealing. They were just being jerks, and they were broadcasting out over the thing, yelling at us and stuff. So I just ran my monk into the building and ran up to him, and I said, "You're dead." And I fell down, and all the bandits just swarmed them. And it was really funny because they reported me.
Right.
And the GM showed up, and his name was Rumblebelly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know that. I recognize that name.
And he looked at the name on my account, and he's like, "Please stop. I don't want to ban you." I said, "I only did it once, and they deserved it."
Yeah.
Best EverQuest story? Got time for a real quick? Best
Sure,
EverQuest
yeah,
story?
for sure.
I was hunting the ancient Cyclops
Okay,
in South Row.
yeah.
And it wasn't South Row near Kinos. Which was the one near Kinos?
Oh yeah, Salvatore was actually by Freeport.
It was
Kinos
south, north, and
was
west. Began with a K. I can't remember. Wow.
Karana. The Karanas, yes.
Yes, it was Karana where the bandits were. That was in
Yes.
South Row in the desert. And this was back in the day when they told you all these different ways to get it to spawn. And by the way, I talked to Morgard from when he came to work at 38 Studio. He said, no, there was no way to get it spawned. It just would spawn or it wouldn't. But people had all these formulas for spawning the ancient Cyclops. Oh, he might have been lying to me too, though.
Yeah.
So I was there for like weeks. I'd log on the monk, sitting in the desert, trying to get my journeyman's boots, the ring of the ancient, so I could go get my journeyman's boots. And there was one other guy in there always there. And we started talking and we kind of became friends. Well, eventually I'd log on one day and I logged on and there he was. And I was like, oh my God. I killed the ancient Cyclops, got my journeyman's boots. No, it wasn't my monk, it was my wizard. It was Chimera.
Okay.
And I got my journeyman's boots. And you really need them with a wizard because you die fast. And then months later, I blipped into South Row with a teleport and I was running through going back to Freeport. And I look at a who to see who's in the zone. And that guy was there. And I hadn't seen him in months. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you're here. He goes, yeah, I'm just coming back. I never did get him. And we had this great conversation going and I'm running through and I come over this dune. Bam, right into the ancient Cyclops.
Nice.
He's on the other side of the zone. I'm like, group with me quick. But the thing had already hit me. So I killed it and I locked it. I went, knelt down and locked it. I said, get over here. And he comes over and I go, okay, I'm getting up on 3. And I got up and this guy ran by and ninja looted, laughing at us, and ran by and took it. And I'm like, cut it out. What are you doing? I'm yelling at the guy. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm going to report you. And the guy's laughing, yeah, F you and all this. And he logged off. So I wrote his name down and I stuck it with a sticky note right on the side of my computer. Months later, I'm in GFA and I see that, and somebody says, hey, I need a teleport to North Karana. So I gotcha. Well, this was right after they had changed the dungeon of Kazakh Thule from being this fairly easy dungeon into this. If you're in there, you're dead.
Yeah.
And so I translocated him and a bar came up and nobody looks at where it is.
No, right, yeah.
And he clicks yes. And I drop the group and I get a tell from him and he says, you screwed up. You sent me the wrong place. I'm in Kazakh. Come get me. Like, you're in Kazakh Thule? How'd that happen? I'm not going there. That's a bad place. Come get me. I'm going to die in there. I'll never get my body back. Come and get me. I'm like, you got J Boots, run, you jerk. And that was that.
Wow. You didn't tell him who you didn't remind him.
He remembered me then when I said you got J Boots.
Oh, okay.
He remembered me then.
That's great.
Yes. That was one of the most satisfying moments of gaming I've ever had.
Nice.
I just hope his body rotted in there.
Well, maybe one day when your time frees up, we can both load up and I'll play with you. You can get some old school EverQuest in.
Well, that's the thing about EverQuest. You can only do about 40 levels by yourself. Once you get into level 40, it just takes you an hour to kill something.
Right. Well, when they came out with, I think it was Luslin or Lucklin, depending on how you want to pronounce it.
Yeah,
it was like your first 20 levels was like so easy, and then after that, everyone started to all the new players started to complain. It's like it's so hard. It's like, yeah, welcome to how our world was.
Yeah, because all the items from Lucklin or whatever you were being sold in the auction house, so you were getting swords that were better than anything you could get until level 30.
Right.
Which kind of ruined the game, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I still remember going into Befallen trying to get the Black Iron Bastard sword, right? It was like a big deal.
Right.
Yeah. That was a
or
great
having
game.
to go into the little tunnel to shout for stuff, and then later they have the auction.
Tunnel in
like,
GFA. I mean, the tunnel in East Commonlands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh no, that was really a great game. I still remember the epic trains from Unrest, from the town to the all the way to the tunnel.
Right.
And you'd kind of hide in the bushes off to the side.
You go all the way up the wall in the zone and just hide out.
All the way back in. And I remember I'd been playing WoW for years, and I went back and played EverQuest. This is great. And I took my bard and I'm creeping around down, and I lost my invisibility and it killed me, and I'm laughing. And then I realized I was like an hour away and I had forgotten. Oh crap. How am I gonna I had to go kill snakes to make enough money to buy a flute so I could go invisible enough again to go down and get my damn body.
Oh man.
Oh, that was terrible. And then I had the hotkey to drag my body out of the dungeon so I could loot it while I was invisible. I'm
Was it hard to remember? You'd go back and as a bard, and you're like, you have to relearn how to twist all your songs in the.
oh yeah, and then your hands like aching for days because you're trying to twist 3 songs all day long. Yeah,
this is the part where we say kids don't know. Kids don't know.
Kids don't know. Well, they took, and you know, when I was working at 38 Studios, I was trying to get them to put things like corpse runs and losing experience back in, and they would not do it. They said the players will not do that. And I said, you know, if there's no risk, there's no reward.
Right.
Put some pain, actual pain in the game. And some of my best stories are corpse runs.
Those are always the best things because it's redeeming. It's like I got my stuff back, and there's always something funny that happens.
Just trying to get your corpse back,
right,
can become multiple corpse runs in a very short minute.
Right, for sure. All right, well, I am gonna bring our party over. Thank you, everybody who is watching the show. Thank you for joining me today, Mr. Salvatore. I appreciate you being here and chatting about EverQuest.
Hey, this was fun.
Past, so I'm glad you had fun. Yeah, and
I did. I had a lot of fun. Thank you. You made it fun.
Get some rest and maybe get a little downtime before signing 100 million books that you have sitting there in your room there, and get ready for your events.
Yeah, it's a heck of a week I got going on here. I'll tell you that much.
Well, hopefully we see you at some point. I was telling you earlier, I was like, I wanted to come visit, but you had a line, and I was like, I don't want to take away somebody else's moment. So hopefully at one of these events, I'll be able to stop by and say hello and shake your hand in person.
You never know.
We'll
never know.
We'll see what happens.